Hey, we know there's a lot of content out there for you to see. You're probably scrolling around trying to find something that speaks about gratitude. And today, I think you've made the right choice.
Boy, is today your lucky day, because today you're on the gratitude train with us, because we all know it's good to be grateful.
That's right. And on today's episode, we're going to have an interview with our significant others where they're going to grill us about why it is that we started this in the first place.
Ooh, that sounds a little scary. You'll definitely want to see that. But we want you to know it's going to be a little bit about us today, but really for future episodes, we want it to be mainly about you guys. This is going to be a journey into how we can all actively create more gratitude in our daily lives.
That's right. So on future episodes, we'll have interview guests, we'll have conversations with one another, we'll have challenges, we'll have different things that will help you along with your journey.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. Well, let's not wait any longer. Let's go ahead and get into it. Here we go.
We'll just get right to it. You guys have some questions for us, and we're ready to answer. So let's get it.
Sam,
All right.
Joey.
Joey will be starting.
Oh, okay.
fantastic.
Cool. That's what, that's what we're doing.
Yes.
All right. First question. Are you ready? That doesn't sound very convincing, but okay, I'll go with it. All right. So this podcast is about both of your journeys and experiences with gratitude. What do you feel your relationship with gratitude is like right now?
I think for me, it's probably a growing relationship, one that I'm trying to apply more gratitude in a daily manner. Like trying to find gratitude in the little things and the processes, when I'm frustrated, when I'm happy, when I'm driving, whatever it may be. I'm just trying to keep that in focus, stay in the moment, stay present, and really delve into what can be potentially life-changing. I think if you start appreciating the little things more and more, your life changes dramatically.
Tell me one thing you're grateful for today.
This podcast, the fact that we're actually taking action, and it's something we've talked about on and off for probably years. And I don't think we ever really thought it was actually going to happen, but now it is happening. So I'm definitely grateful for that. It's such a huge opportunity, I think, for all of us, and maybe even our families and our friends, and who knows how many people are going to be reached by this. Lord willing, a lot of people.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd have a similar answer to that. I think that I'm in a season of growth, and this is a podcast that will help me get to where I want to be. Obviously, gratitude is so important in our daily lives, and I think that as most people, I'm far from being in a place where that comes naturally. I think that gratitude is something that I have to focus on, and that is not always easy. And I think that in my life, I've definitely had ups and downs where I have really amazing memories thinking about, how grateful and thankful I am for certain moments. And then definitely moments where I feel like I have not appreciated all that's going on in my life. And I think that seeing the impact that the gratitude made in my life when I had those seasons of really thinking about appreciating all the things that are going on, it's just such a drastic difference in my mood, in the way that I impact others, the conversations that I'm having, the love that I'm giving. Just overall, I think my life in general is so much better when I'm in a place of gratitude. So this podcast is definitely something that I believe will challenge me in those areas, and also help me to practice where, again, naturally it may be easy to kind of get distracted from those moments, but actually be more present and more focused on gratitude.
That's a perfect lead-in to our next question, which is there a memory or a moment in your life that you can really connect with whenever you really need to feel gratitude?
It's interesting because I feel like you would think this really beautiful moment where, I'm really grateful for our marriage and the way that our wedding went down, and it's such a beautiful memory, but that's not what I think about when I'm thinking about gratitude a lot of times. I only said that because I'm trying to explain like the little thing that I think about often in terms of gratitude is I know that when I am in this place of thinking about my physical fitness and actually taking the action of working out or running, it's very easy for me to go to a place of thinking about my surroundings, how beautiful it is outside, the sun, my family, all of the things that I have in my life that are beautiful. And I think that is what I think about a lot of times. There's specifically a moment where I remember I was going through a really tough season financially, but I do remember that I still had that feeling like that everything was perfect, because I had my health and I was taking action to be healthy. This was when I was at a gym and an apartment. And again, I had a routine where I was doing that daily. And I do think about that a lot of times, about how important that was to me and how much that fulfilled me in those moments of, again, taking that action. So that's something that sticks out to me for sure as far as a memory goes.
I love that because it's more about you and not anything necessarily external. And sometimes we can think of like you said, I mean, you can think of our wedding, and that can definitely be a big moment of gratitude. But I love that what you lean into is where you felt the best about yourself, because that's something that you can always lean into, is just you, because you're the one that decides to be grateful, and you're the one that decides to be happy and experience joy. So that's awesome.
I think you're gonna like this a little bit less because I think for me,
there's no right or wrong answer.
No, that's true. But some of the moments that I'm most grateful for, I look back at times when we're having game nights with the family or friends. You're just yourself. You're just having fun. You're enjoying time. And I value it so much more because I know how limited those opportunities really can be. And how often, for example, like my family, they're spread all over the place. So the last time that we had a game night all together was years ago. But in the past year, we've been doing more and more of that just to fellowship with one another. And to me, those are special because you never really know what you have until it's gone, right? It's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. And I think those are things that, you know, when I'm on my deathbed, I'll probably be looking back at those and thinking of those smiles and that joy. That it doesn't have to be going on a flight and traveling the world, which would be nice, of course. But I think just being at home and being with your loved ones, that's something I'm always grateful for.
Now, I do want to point out that your face when you're losing doesn't look like you're grateful. So I would just say maybe that's something to recognize when you're losing to me at a board game.
You should be
Well, that
grateful
doesn't happen.
for losing.
So let's not lie to the audience. But I appreciate the thought.
Yeah.
What are you doing for him to be losing, though?
Let's go into that.
Oh, Joey is
You know-
having some technical difficulties.
Yes, I
by the way.
am.
Oh, okay.
I've been like, it's really falling.
She's been, I forgot what I was going to say, but it's just, you started your answer by saying I was going to like it less, but I think that's still an awesome answer. I was in prepping, thinking about questions for you guys. I was watching a short video of Brene Brown, who I listen to a lot. And she was talking about, I don't know specifics, but she was referring to people that have either lost a loved one or, you know, something like that. And when asked what do they miss the little things. They miss like the door slamming when the whatever lady was, or her husband got home, or the kids playing and fighting out back, like simple little things that sometimes can probably even annoy us or frustrate us. But those are the little things that then we miss the most when we don't have it anymore. So I think that's really beautiful that you think about that.
Yeah,
You know,
I would agree with that sentiment because immediately as you're saying that, I can think of different things that are sparks to me of my memory of them and how much I miss those little things. And I think we all probably share in that.
Yeah.
The time that I beat you at Uno and Phase 10.
I don't miss those times.
Those are sparks.
Sparks. What kind of
and-
sparks are we talking about?
A little spark, you know, that I remember. It's feeling good.
Oh gosh. All right, next.
Yeah, ready.
Okay. So what makes you happy? What fulfills you?
I think
Just face.
I think when you see that you've made a good impact on someone else, I think that's always something that fuels me. Seeing people who maybe are going through a difficult circumstance and somehow maybe something you say or something you do changes their face right in that moment. And it may not have to be like a huge, like, oh, thank you, but just a quick smile. That can be heartbreaking, but also so inspiring, because you know that anyone going through a difficult circumstance, sometimes they just need a word. Like, especially people who maybe are living on the streets and nobody pays attention to them. People just kind of get disgusted walking by or kind of shield themselves from those people. I think they feel that every single day. So when you step out of your way just to have that interaction with them, I think it's beautiful. If I could have all my days filled with that, I think I'd be so fulfilled. Obviously, we can. I think we can probably take action every single day to make that happen. But if you're asking me what fulfills me, I think having those moments with whoever it may be. Maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's a friend, it's a stranger, whoever it is. If you make a positive impact on those individuals and make a positive change each day, I think that's fulfilling for me.
I actually think that speaks very much to your personality and who you are, because he's always serving people and always trying to help people, and that's like almost like he doesn't know any other way to be. So
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
think that makes sense to me for you to answer that.
Yeah, I think that I was listening to you say that, and I was like, that is exactly Eduardo in every sense, but also that you have a lot to give, and you have an impact in the way that you give it. And I think that, whether it's acting or, again, just sharing your trust and your love with people.
We're doing it live.
What happened?
It's still got battery. Did it turn
just
off?
Stop. Oh, you're not gonna finish your answer. You're gonna forget.
Well, I don't even know what I said now.
So he already forgot, so we can bring it back later. Yeah.
We're back in here.
All right. So tell us.
Yeah, so I was saying that that does reflect Eduardo's personality and the way that he is with people. He definitely loves serving, and I think that, again, you do that in such an impactful...
I thought you were ready.
Are we kidding?
Take 3.
All right, I have nothing left to say about Eduardo.
Now we know who Eduardo is. Let's keep going.
Yeah. You were saying about the impact on others. That's what fulfills you and also brings you happiness. And I would say that I have a similar feeling. I think that understandably, and I think that you understand this. Happiness comes from within, and I think that with this podcast, something that it makes me think is that's a good question. What fulfills you? What makes you happy? I think that I have so much to be happy about. And I think that it's interesting, that question specifically, what fulfills me. I think that it really is sitting with myself and feeling that gratitude that probably makes me the happiest. But I think that what fulfills me is feeling like I'm sharing the love that is true to those around me. It's hard. I'm trying to figure out how to say this, because I think that it is, it's very complicated from the standpoint that you're not in this place of thinking about this normally, like what fulfills you, what makes you happy. And this is a practice that I've done before. I read a book that talked about fulfillment, and I think my answer at that point in time was fulfillment is ensuring that my family is well taken care of and supported, and then being able to give them the lives that they want and need. I think that that is true, but I think that beyond that, I think that I really can be fulfilled without having such a lofty goal, in the sense that what I have right now is true happiness, knowing that my family is safe, that they love me, that I have a great surrounding of friends that I also call family. And I think that there's an abundance of things that, again, I can look at and say I am completely at peace with who I am, where I'm at, what I'm doing. And I think that happiness is coming from there, for me at least, again, from that place of looking inward and understanding that there is so much to be happy about and to be content with. That is, I think, what's resonating with me as far as an answer for that question. But it's so deep, and so many things come to my mind when I think about really what makes me happy. It's everything that I am right now and everything that surrounds me. I think that in this moment, I just think about this podcast and what the purpose of it is, and what it's doing for me and for my family. And I think that, that brings me so much happiness in this present moment. But beyond that, there's a million other things that I could probably talk about. But to keep it short and simple, I think that, again, looking inward at who I am right now, what I have, and what's going on around me, and then just appreciating the small things, that's what's bringing me fulfillment and happiness.
With that, not to throw a curveball, but now that you guys have told us what fulfills you, what do you feel is missing in your life? If there is something that you feel like is missing in your life.
I don't want to sound cheesy, but I think that
But he will.
well, it's
joking.
cheesy in the sense that I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think that what right in this present moment, I'm feeling so much gratitude about what's happening in this moment with the purpose of this podcast and where we're going and what we're doing. But I think that this is what I've been missing. I literally, I don't have any kind of structure to the action of practicing gratitude. And I think that, again, understanding that there have been seasons where I've really been high on practicing and recognizing what is going for me. It's meant so much in those moments, but that has been very infrequent recently. I think that that's been far from me. So I guess to answer that, that's what's missing, is really the practice and the consistency. That is what could definitely help me get to a better place, a better happy place. So I guess that would be my answer.
And I think
I love that answer.
to bounce off of that, I think that I do agree. This being a place where you can take action with gratitude and growing. I feel like for me, obviously, we're at different stages of our lives. So I do have things that I want, obviously, with my girlfriend and a potential family, and career-wise. There's a lot of things that I want, and I'm not saying
Mila's
that.
asking for.
And yeah, exactly. So we have to meet her needs. But I think that there's a lot of steps that I still see in my life that I'm leaving it in God's hands, because I think when we try to take control of certain things, God may want something different. And we've had many conversations about that. And I'm still, in certain way, coming to terms with a lot of it and trying to see the gratitude in it too. So for me, this is a growing process. Like I can't say I'm there yet, where in everything I see the gratitude, the appreciation, but I'm getting there. And I think this will be a major step to that, with the conversations we're having, like even right now, and potential guests that may come and interview. And I hope that not only do we help other people learn, but I hope that I also grab something from each and every conversation that helps me become a better person, a better boyfriend, husband, father, son, brother, everything, a better person in general. So I think this will be a key to that.
I think that that's beautifully said. And just to kind of add to that sentiment, I think that what we're doing is not going to be perfect, but I think that it is perfect in what is happening. You know, I think that when we talk about what good can come from it, whether we're a better son, better father, better husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it may be, I think that if we're really tuning in and being present, there is nothing negative that can come from actually trying to focus on practicing gratitude. So I think that that is the awesome part, is that this is a place for everybody, that if they really can come and tune in and practice and be present, that there's growth, and growth that will help everyone.
I agree.
Sounds like you've been talking to my coach.
Oh,
No, but I think Joey, we were talking about the questions, and I think Joey and I were talking about those two questions and whether or not we were going to ask them. And we left them in there, and Joey actually changed the order, and I like how it played out, because, you think about what you're grateful about, and it puts you in such a positive mindset. And then you're asked what you're missing, and you kind of almost realize, like, yeah, there's things that you might think about that are missing, but when you actually practice gratitude, that list just kind of can, I'm not going to say for everybody, in certain situations can be difficult, but it shortens when you do practice gratitude, and the weight of what might make you think like you're missing something also maybe lifted a little bit. So it's really cool to hear your answers to those questions, and see you realize as you're answering them that you have so many things to be grateful for, and so many things that do bring you fulfillment. And it's nothing crazy complicated. It's just appreciating what you have in your life. And it played out really well. We did a good job.
Yeah, it just kind of makes you rethink when you think of gratitude first. Like initially, we actually had it, like you were saying, the other way around. And really, the thought process was like, if you actually think about what you're grateful for, sometimes when you start thinking, okay, what am I missing? It makes you realize that maybe the things that you would have answered before change.
Yeah.
Because it feels maybe a little bit more silly when you realize how many things you have to be grateful for.
Yeah. And I think that everybody can relate to both of your answers. I think that most people probably don't practice gratitude that much. And it is probably what is missing in most people's lives, is that simple, but somehow also difficult at the same time practice of gratitude.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think that I said it. I think that you explained it because you're listening to it, but it does make me think about my natural tendencies of what am I missing? That is probably that's my natural state most of the time, is like, what else can I do? What else, can I achieve? And I think that does leave me in a place where it can be lonely, it can be empty and unfulfilling. And I think that, the way that you guys did phrase those questions, it really did allow you to kind of get into this mindset of, what do I have going on and what is there to be grateful for? And then I completely forgot about all of those other things, the Lamborghinis, the yachts,
Goodness.
And I actually felt better in the moment. I was like thinking about what genuinely do I have to be grateful about, and again, all of those thoughts went away. So I just think that you're exactly right about again, the practice and getting into that mindset.
So we're grateful to Joey for flipping those questions.
Yeah.
Well, and to what you were saying, I think that the way you feel is probably how so many other people feel as well. And I think I can relate to that. And I feel
think
like
we all
almost
can.
everybody
Yeah.
can, because you're always thinking like, oh, it's never enough.
Yeah.
And without actually giving yourself credit for how much you've already been able to achieve, because what you wanted to achieve, what you have now was once
Oh
a
yeah,
goal.
absolutely.
I'm throwing out a curveball question.
Okay.
John, can you tell me one thing you're grateful about when it comes to Joey?
Oh my God.
Oh,
They're brother and sister-in-law, so
I mean, I can think of a couple of things. So,
just a couple.
well,
Just kidding.
I mean,
Eduardo.
do you want me to go ramble on? Because I can, but I think that the first thing that comes to my mind is she's an amazing baker and cook, and I really am grateful for the blessings of the food that she has given me.
I can
Even
agree.
though I sometimes mess around and I play like I'm not, I am definitely on board with the more the better. Whatever you got, I'll eat it. So
She has a blog, by the way.
This is
That's
not
right.
about this.
Recipes,
whisking up flavors.
gluten-free,
All right,
so
this is
good.
not
That's
about
true.
this.
If you
My
need a
blog.
gluten-free cake,
Oh,
cookies,
delicious.
We'll
they're
add a link to the bio.
amazing.
Very health conscious
Very sure.
in the right portions. I don't really pay attention to the portion sizes. I just eat a lot of everything because it's really good. So, yeah. But so more?
No, that's good.
Okay. I mean, I can keep going.
If you'd like to.
One more.
Okay. So I think that with Joey, one thing that I've always really appreciated is she is very diligent. And I think that she's also very thoughtful. And in terms of how that's showed up, I think that she's always really great if there's an additional helping hand needed. She's always there to try and support where she can, but also in the case that you need a perspective, that may be different from yours, I think that she's really great at giving good input and feedback. And I think that is something that I really respect, because a lot of times, it can be difficult to give a perspective that is maybe against the grain. But I think that from my perspective, in the moments that it's been given, it's been appreciated. So that's something that I'm grateful for.
See, appreciates you.
Beautiful words.
Otherwise.
Well
Jeez.
said. Well said.
Oh my goodness. That was quite the curveball.
That was.
You did great.
Do you feel gratitude and vulnerability are related?
Sure. I would say so. I think that being vulnerable is something that has always been a challenge, not because I'm purposely closed off or anything like that, but it just doesn't come naturally to me. And I do think that in order to be self-realized, you probably are better off being vulnerable, at least to the people around you, so that they know you and they know what you've been through. They know how you've come out. It'll help you be more grateful, because you also don't think that you're necessarily hiding anything or shielding yourself from your opinion of what other people think about you, because we all kind of have that, where we have an opinion of what other people think they think of us, which is a weird kind of scenario, because it's probably never accurate. You probably think they think something of you, and they probably have no idea about what it is that you have your idea of theirs. But yes, to answer your question, I'm rambling, but yes, it is related. Vulnerability and
Say that 3
gratitude.
times fast.
Vulnerability and gratitude. Vulnerability.
Only
and gratitude.
only
and
vulnerability.
gratitude.
I think you got it.
But sure.
Yeah.
You feel it's linked, John?
Definitely. I think a lot of times, in order to have gratitude, I think that you have to be vulnerable first, because I just think about moments where I have been wrong, or I have made a mistake, and it has been something that I've felt terrible about. In order to grow from that and learn that I can be better. I can do something better. Maybe even the experience beyond the mistake was the next moment taught me something about myself that I never knew that I had within me. I think that takes vulnerability to get to the other side, where then you can see that you are more than what you believed you could be. And I think that is a moment where such gratitude can come, is when, again, you can admit to yourself and be honest with yourself that it's not the end of the road. You're not defined by the moment that has challenged you, but that you are somebody that can have downtimes and be in a place that may not be the best, and that you can overcome it because you're stronger than the moment. I think that those are the most powerful moments, in my mind, is those opportunities to be vulnerable with the challenge, and then learn and grow from that, and then be grateful that you have that ability and opportunity to face those fears, challenges in a way where, again, you can walk away and be better.
That's awesome.
Well said.
One thing that we kind of talked about, Jerry and I, was you guys are putting yourselves in a very vulnerable position by doing this podcast. And I think that we're in a world where it's harder for men. I mean, in general, I think it's always been harder for men to be vulnerable. So I'm just curious as to how you feel about, taking this on, and how vulnerable you're willing to be in this arena that you're entering.
For myself, I think that that's accurate. But I think that, again, looking deep and understanding what this has meaning for in terms of the impact on my family, friends, future, I don't know if there's really a limitation to how deep I'm willing to go. I think that really, when I think about gratitude and allowing myself to really dive deep into that, I think that only good comes from it. So really, the more that I dive into it, the more the positive impact on my life. So I think that the tough part about what you said is that it's not the most natural thing for me. I think that it does take a lot of vulnerability to get to the point where I'm really looking inward and feeling like the practice is first. I think that so many times what's natural is a lot of other things are priority before practicing gratitude. But I think that, again, that is where I am owning that, and I'm saying that this is the opportunity for me to change that, which, again, does require a lot of vulnerability, but that is the practice that I am choosing.
That's awesome.
I agree with that sentiment. So I think for me, there's also no depth as far as how deep I'm willing to go with vulnerability, because I just want to try to be better. So I think whatever it takes to get to that point. One of the biggest phrases that keeps popping up in my mind as we start this is I've always wanted to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think this is going to be a venue for that. I just want to dive in as far as I can, because I do think there's going to be good that comes from that, not only for me, but for others as well.
I'm really excited for you guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite the journey.
It's
Absolutely.
interesting to watch for sure.
You
For sure.
something that I think about when I think about this journey of gratitude and where does the end lie? It doesn't. Yeah, you can just keep going. But I think that I look at certain people like Sadhguru, which I've talked to you guys about before, but just the the ability for someone to be so genuinely interested in every moment, every conversation, I feel like that is something that is so hard for me.
There's so many distractions.
But to see that he, even in moments where someone is arguing with him, he wants to experience that interaction in such a genuine way where he wants to be honest with that person, honest with himself, and just present and grateful that he has the ability to experience. That is so foreign. And to think about, again, getting to that point, it's like that is a long way to climb. But to be able to experience life in that way, man, he has such a full life, I feel like, because it's the smallest things that are the biggest things for him. And I think that is such a cool perspective to look at, is, so many times you just don't notice, again, small and big things that are happening to you and around you. But if you can get to that point, man, how full would life be?
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
That would definitely, I mean, again, there's no finish line, but just being able to live that way, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, the next question, John's kind of done this exercise. So Eduardo, it's more aimed at you, but of course you can talk about it as well. John and
Do
I
we have to stand up and stare into each
Better
other's
get
eyes?
stretched out, buddy.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Good thing.
Recently, we went to a personal growth event. I don't really know what to call it, but it's definitely looking inward and working on yourself. And we were asked a question to reflect, and it said, if you knew you only had 30 days left to live on this earth, how would you spend that time?
with my loved ones. That's really it. I would try to do things that maybe we haven't done.
Game night every night.
A lot of game nights, I would say. Taking my family to places that they haven't been to, like my mom, my grandma, my aunts, and just spending time together. I think that's probably the most important thing. Like if all of us could just go and be together, I think that would be it. For 30 days, that would be awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I share a similar sentiment. Obviously trying to create as many moments and memories in such a short period of time is tough, but I think that doing that with family is what means the most. So you guys would have to go to the race car track with me. You guys would have to go on the boat.
Yeah.
What
a sacrifice.
It's interesting because I think that the practice is really like what means the most to you. And I think that when you think about, you have a finite amount of time and what really is the thing that you want the most, it's not what you think about most of the time. It's not what you spend your time distracted with. And I think that is so interesting, that life is finite. You don't know what it's going to look like from one moment to the next, and you spend your energy chasing things that don't really matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that is such a good question to really get you on track to the things that you have the ability to control and you can take action to impact immediately. Is like, you don't need anything but time to be able to take action and spend it with your loved ones. And I think that is one of the easiest things that can get you to a place where you, at least again, in our lives, not everyone has a family, which I think that is something to be cognizant of. But I think that in that case, it really still comes back to what brings you happiness within, and whether that be passions or whatever that may be. I think that is something that you don't have to dream up and say that it's out of bounds or it's too far away. It's a lot of times it's something within that you just have to think about and say, I'm grateful for, and how can I share these moments, with others or with myself even. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of, I think, why we put that question on there is also when you answered and you realize that it's probably nothing super grand. It's simple moments, as we were talking about, and to put you in the mindset of you can do probably not everything that you would do, but you could plan to have those special moments every day. There's two things that this makes me think about, and it was Gary Vee and Tony Robbins were having a conversation, and Gary Vee told Tony Robbins that every morning when he wakes up, he imagines that his wife and his daughter have died in a car crash. And Tony Robbins kind of laughed at him like, wow, that's like dark.
Okay.
But if you think about having that thought, which is, it's very sad and very dark, but it's true. Life is finite. Like, you don't know that you're not promised tomorrow. And if you put yourself in the mindset of, I have a limited amount of time, then you would give so much more every day to your loved ones in moments where, you choose not to be present, or you distract yourself with certain things. I feel like when you realize, like, I may not have tomorrow, then you would look at every single moment as so precious, as you were saying. That's Guru, that's how he lives, but it took him, probably that kind of thought process to get there. And the other person that I think about, she wrote a book, Michelle Poller, about fear, or like she faced 100 days of facing her fears, and she would do something every single day that scared her. And one of the lessons that she taught or talks about in her book is when you do something different or something challenging or something that scares you every single day, you tend to remember your days better. Like, there's some times where like we'll be like, what did we do last weekend? Because it's kind of the monotony of what we always do versus, it doesn't have to be anything grand, like I said, but just something different, or something that maybe a conversation that you wouldn't have because it scared you, but it took you to a vulnerable place. And then you had a meaningful connection with somebody because you took a leap of faith to face that fear and have that conversation. And I feel like that's happened many times with you and me. So it just makes me think of that, when you choose gratitude and you choose to really meditate on the fact that, taking the time to appreciate, but also know that, you never know what's going to happen, then you're going to be that much more grateful and that much more intentional with your time and your actions and your words and everything. So, all of that thought process went into that question.
Samantha Guru, everybody.
No.
It just made me think when you're talking about the 100 things, like imagine that there were 100 things that she could come up with that she was afraid of doing.
I know.
That's insane. And I'm sure that you don't think that there are that many, but the fact that you can complete that, and I'm sure we can all come up with 100 things and potentially more, but that's insane. That's a big number if you think about it.
Well, next time we're in Toronto, John and Eduardo will do the CN Tower walk.
I wonder what's more impactful, 100 things that you're scared to do or 100 things that you're grateful for? I think
similar ones,
probably
right?
scare things it's more memorable, but it could also
I feel like it's equal.
It's
in a
equal.
way.
Yeah. I just feel like the shock of the system when you're scared of doing something, you have that fear that overwhelms you, and that makes, but I think you could also have that gratitude as well. It's really the practice and how deep you go that it can overwhelm you. And I know that there's a lot of emotions that can come with gratitude that are so powerful. So yeah, it's probably equal.
Well,
I think
maybe.
it's impactful in a different way.
Yes.
Because I think what probably can be difficult when people are trying to practice gratitude every day, especially if they feel like their days feel almost the same. Like you wake up, you go to work, et cetera, et cetera. Like, okay, what is grateful? Like, okay, the first day I'm like, okay, I get to go to work. The next day I'm like, cool, I get to go to work. So like obviously you have to dig a little deeper a lot of the times. Instead of like, unless you're somebody who's traveling every day or something, it can be a little bit more challenging to also find the gratitude, even if it's there. So it's a mindset shift that you're gonna have versus facing your fears.
Slaps you in the face.
Yeah, it kind of slaps you in the face. And I think in some ways, some people maybe find it easier to find something they're afraid of than something that they're grateful for.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it can be a cheat code too for gratitude, because every time you beat something or you overcome something that you're
The
afraid
results.
of, yeah, you have the result of knowing I already overcame that. Like I know I'm over here. Like I'm a step above.
So
Where I
maybe that's
used
a
to be.
practice.
I'm grateful
yeah.
I did that.
Maybe
That's
that's
the
a
answer.
practice.
Exactly.
That's a direct practice of gratitude. Interesting.
I think it is also very related to what we were talking about with vulnerability and gratitude and how they're related, because when you face your fears, it's a very vulnerable situation. And one of the things Joey and I talked about when it came to that question is when you're vulnerable, you really have to allow yourself to feel your feelings very, very deeply. And that can be very scary. But I think in order to fully experience gratitude to its fullest, you have to go to that place of deep feeling as well.
How interesting is it that when you think about the things that you're scared about most in life, if you face them, that it equals gratitude on the other side?
That's crazy. Yeah.
How insane is that, right?
That's awesome.
It is
Yeah.
very insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you fall flat on your face.
Sometimes
At least now I know.
Sometimes you
Well,
do.
I guess if you're scared of falling off a cliff,
Well, like if you relate it to like starting a business, like probably yes, you'll
Yeah.
be happy even if you failed a million
Yeah.
times
Yeah,
to get
I
the
mean-
one successful one. Yeah.
John is
Yeah.
a testament to that for
Yeah.
sure.
well, thank you guys
Well, we're not
for
done.
failing at business. I have
John's like, get me
succeeded.
out of here. I'm done answering these questions.
Yeah.
That didn't feel like something, I wasn't overwhelmed with gratitude when you guys said that.
Oh,
That is so not true, because you are grateful for the journey.
No,
even
for
though
sure.
you failed.
I was joking, but
I wouldn't call it failed. You've learned.
absolutely. I think
Lessons
that
learned.
it is necessary for you to grow as an entrepreneur. You have to fail. And I think that a lot of people have written books and said this over and over, but I think that that is a true entrepreneurial spirit, is looking something in the face and knowing that you're not going to know it all and you're going to fail, and then continuing to push through. So
what about when it's not in business? Because it's almost
Yeah.
like a known fact. It may be harder when it's personal because it's harder to see because the outcome is going to be different. Not that in business it's anything is guaranteed, but when it's personal and you keep trying something
yeah.
and then it's not working out, you're like,
Listen, for the first 5 years that I dated Sam, I was like, this is just like business. I could fail at this, or we could really push through. And,
do you want to get
and
into
she
that?
could say
'Cause there's
yes.
stories.
But, luckily it worked out, and it was
So work in progress still.
much scarier than business. Much scarier.
That's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah, I would agree. That on the personal side, the things that scare you the most, a lot of times it can be relationships and things like that, but those can be absolutely terrifying.
For sure.
Okay.
But I think that those are similar outcomes. A lot of times, whether it's good or bad, the result is you grow, and there is gratitude in that.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. So,
Last question.
last question. Why do you feel it's important to get this message or have this conversation about gratitude?
I think it's important because there are so many venues that people can go through to get entertainment. And I know that for me, there's a lot of times when I'm scrolling and I'm seeing things that interest me on a general basis. And we've talked about this, whether it's politics or acting or Hollywood, movies, whatever it may be. But it's things that probably don't nourish me, and they probably don't nourish other people as well. And it gets people into this mindset of probably negativity, to where they're seeing all the bad things in the world and all the things that they have no control over. And I think that can ruin the way people live, not only for themselves, their own self-image, but also the way they interact with everyone in their community, and even people that they don't know, people that they're interacting with on the internet. The first response, instead of Sadhguru's response of wanting to truly be kind to that person that's being angry towards them, they're going to resort to anger immediately. And it happens to all of us in certain ways. I think this is an opportunity for people to get an outlet of positivity where maybe that mindset shift helps them in their everyday life. And I think for me, and I think you feel the same way, I think we all feel like this is something we want to do for that very same reason, to give something positive out into the world.
Yeah, I would absolutely mirror that answer.
Well,
we got kids in the background, so
They're waiting for mommy to come out.
sorry. So
Hey, talk about being vulnerable.
yeah, I guess so. I would just say that I know that there is a lot of negativity out there in the world, but I think that even more so, there's just a lot of empty space that is a void for your attention. And I think that the conversation is more often revolving around taking your time. At least, again, when I say conversation, I'm saying like, what is it that I see most of the time when even I am on social media outlets? And I think that it's just a black hole of space that is a conversation for what do you not have? What do you want your life to look like? Because your life isn't good enough. You want to be like this person because they're, they have so much money or they have so many cars or all these things that, again, maybe are hobbies and interests of mine, but they're empty voids that don't really bring me growth. And I think that this conversation is needed because I really do want to create a space where people can come and feel like they are growing and really developing something within them that that maybe they don't experience often. And gratitude is that thing that I know that if, again, I can find a way to practice it more, it will create so many improvements and impacts in my life that I believe that is a message that really needs to be communicated more and more often. And if we can create a movement where people are liking, sharing, getting involved in these conversations, and hopefully this isn't just a our channel movement. This is something that creates a new space for social media channels to, again, have a better conversation and people across the world to have better conversations with each other. That would really be the goal and the impact that I would love to have on the world. I think that the cool part about this is we're doing this a lot for us. And I think that, in the sense that we're wanting the impact in our lives and we're sharing that and hoping that it impacts others. But I think that even if it were just, we are going to get on this thing and we're going to practice and it's going to help us. If it helps one other person, how incredible would that be? But I think that, that is really what I think this conversation is necessary for, is that I know how much it could mean to the world, but it's really, it's in the practice. We'll see how far it goes, and that's to be discussed and to be continued, I guess.
Well, I think it's really cool that you guys are taking this journey and basically putting it in front of people, because you can practice gratitude. You can decide to practice gratitude for yourself and you can build that habit. But, you're coming on here not as like an expert on it, but really to take this journey in front of a camera where people are going to be being able to witness your growth. And that is a very vulnerable position to put yourself in. But as you're doing it, for yourself, like Eduardo was saying, and you as well, you're also hoping that your journey will impact somebody else. And I think that that's really cool, and it'll be cool to see for sure. So thank you for being vulnerable.
And thank you guys as well. Thank you, babe, for coming. Thank you, Sam, for all your very thoughtful questions that I think have taken us off in the right direction, because that's kind of the thoughts that need to lead us into all the interviews that we're hopefully, God willing, going to make, all the podcasts, all the episodes, all the materials that we're going to produce for this channel. I think you guys hit everything right on the head and started us off perfectly. So thank you.
Good.
Oh,
Happy to
well,
help.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I think that also you guys did an excellent job with the questions, but also with the input and the feedback. I think that you guys deserve your own thing, but one day.
All right. This is where we can stop it.
Yes. I was just thinking as Mila's crying her little heart out. By the way, Mila's our daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say their niece, because I made a joke earlier, but so that people can understand it way later in the episode is Mila will ask them to have a baby.
Yeah.
So that was what the joke was about. But I was hearing her crying. I was like, oh, I'm going to sit her down and have her listen to herself and interview her. And it's going to be the cutest thing ever.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I
She
wanna
would
do
love
that.
that.
Yeah,
Even
we
if
should
it's
bring
just for
her.
fun.
We should bring her up here and just
Ask her what she's grateful for.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that won't make it to the episode.
Well, this is
but-
another awesome practice. Actually, and this is a little side tag here. So I was watching that there was a parent that practices gratitude with their children, and it's interesting because their minds are just in such a growth period, kind of in this young age. We have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, but kind of around that 3 to 5 age range. They're learning so much. But one of their kids, where they do story time, and then they started practicing after story time, gratitude time, where they would think I think they were thanking God for something that they experienced that day. And what's interesting is, at first they were having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what it is that they were grateful for, and their parents would kind of help them through it. But after a couple of days, it was like something that they were really trying to get good at, and the kids would start naming off several things, and even throughout the day. So they would get really good at saying the things they were grateful for at night, but even throughout the day, they learned that, oh, I can remember to say I'm thankful for this thing, and they would voice it during the day. So it actually made them practice it during the day as well, which I thought was a really cool thing to experience.
Kids
It's
are
probably
amazing.
something that'll happen to you guys
Yeah.
throughout your days.
Yeah.
Well, I think kids, honestly, you can learn so much from them.
Oh, yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
probably say things that we would never think about, and you're like, oh, it's so simple. And
Yeah.
yeah, their minds are.
In the same video that I was watching of Brene Brown, like maybe a couple hours ago, she does a similar practice with her kids at the table. And she was saying some days it's, the older daughter saying that she's grateful for the thick wall between her and her brother's room. And then the next day, the little girl's talking about how she's grateful that her whole family's there because she had a friend of hers that lost her mom. So, there's so much in their little brains that they learn through that practice.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Adorable.
Yep.
Yeah, how impactful would that be, though? I don't think that I ever practiced that when I was little, but, you get older and you get a lot more wise, and we're talking about this now, but think about if we would have learned and practiced this as kids, that would have been so impactful.
I'm excited for you to grow and then lead us in our family in that area.
Here we are.
No pressure.
Yeah, we're going.
Also, I kind of want to hear what Mila has to say now.
Okay. Well, we can go get her. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Thank you
you
for having
guys.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that was
we
fun.
will have to schedule a different interview where you guys are the ones
That's
answering
it.
the
Oh,
questions.
goodness.
That's it.
I have not committed to anything.
Yeah, we got to ask you guys some good ones.
If I bake some cookies, do I get out of it?
Oh, now we're talking.
Yep.
We want to thank you guys again for joining us on this journey of gratitude. This is the first of many episodes. The next episodes will be coming out daily, weekly, monthly, obviously yearly.
But for today's episode, thank you to our significant others because you followed through on your promise to grill us.
Oh yeah, we are burnt to a crisp, and hopefully we can return the favor someday.
So for now, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy next time.
Thanks, guys.